I got a feeling that you got me covered too. I got you covered. I got you covered.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. Move the mic a little bit closer. I moved it to do something else, and I forgot to move it back. So, welcome everybody to this. This is a really important stream. I've been excited to do that. Of course, I'm feeling better. I've got a voice. I've been resting all day, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And I think, honestly, it's something that is needed. So, I'm going to give some people a few minutes to come on in, allow those notifications to come on, as we know about with YouTube, and welcome everybody in to the stream and to this. Throughout this live, just so you know, we're going to be talking about some sensitive subjects. Hi, Star, how are you? We're going to be talking about some sensitive subjects. I would encourage everyone to go watch this movie because of the subject matter of this movie that Josh and I watched. There is talk in there, and so we're not going to actually say the word because I don't want YouTube to bury this. I want it to get out there. Hi, Juan. Hi, Kristen. I want people to see this movie. I want them to get the message that we need to be looking out for each other. And I just hope I do it justice. That's all I'm asking for. And this movie, and we're going to start doing this, guys. I'm just giving a few minutes for people to come on in. We're going to start doing this and finding movies that have some really inspirational things behind them. They may have had a story like this movie did. And we want to be able to show that they struggled, but they came out victorious. You know, they went through their struggles, but they came out. And look at all the wonderful things that they did in and through, you know, their battle. And so we're going to start finding movies. If you have movies that you think would be ones that were made into a true story that would be good to have them, then we'll watch them and we'll put them up and have the discussion. And it doesn't necessarily have to be made into a movie. Maybe it'll be something that was a story worth discussing, because I think that people's battles is something that if we can look at them and say, yeah, they went through that, but look what they did, even going through what all they did, you know, went through, I think it's really impressive, right? Hi, Nancy, how are you? So I thought about where to put this in as people are coming in, and I may play it more than once. And I chose to play this at the very beginning. I may play it towards the middle, but we always take a moment to thank our members, and that will not be the appropriate time to play this. I also want to start out with dedicating this stream to all the men and women that served this great country, that have served, are serving, have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you for your service. Not only that, your family service. We are in your debt. And so this stream goes to those people. This stream is also dedicated to the people that George carried on this trail, and their families. So just trigger warning, I'm going to put that out there. This, and I may give it just a few minutes more. This video is a time just to reflect. I took the names and screen recorded them off of the movie. On the side of it, you're going to see a video that I inserted in there of my dad's actual ceremony where taps was played. And I made sure that I took that video and put it on YouTube and made sure there wasn't any copyright issues, and there wasn't. But I just figured out that that was really personal to us. It made the video very personable. So you'll see that kind of in the corner, but that was actually at his service. And so let's take a moment before we even get into anything. And like I said, this may not be the only time within the stream I play this specific video, but and take a moment and let me set it up. I did work on this last night so I can understand how to actually do it. So I got impressed with myself a little bit yesterday. Let's just have a moment of silence, everybody. And hopefully I have it. Where is it? Where is it? Hold on a second. I have to upload it. I thought I had it, but somehow I had it in here and it's not in here. Hold it. Okay. This was yesterday. Okay. I have it, guys. You will notice in that video that there's a picture of my grandfather. And even though he wasn't one of the names in George's, ring that he had with him, he's one of those names. My grandfather did unalive himself. And so his name is on there. And I thought when to place that. And I thought before we start, we need to make sure that those men and those women are honored first. And so those are the names that he carried on that trail with him. And so let's go into this story a little bit. Hi, Sandy. How are you? And like I said, I may play it one more time for people that are coming in. Let's see. I'm going to make myself small. All right. So this is the highest point for those that don't know. And I didn't know. I learned a lot about the, oops, sorry. Let's see. No, I don't want to do that. I'm like, wait, I don't want to do. I'm also, there we go. I didn't want to have it over the Lesta Crochet. That's the highest point on the Apache Trail, or not the Apache, the Appalachian Trail. That is, hi Crocheting, how are you? That is the highest point on the Appalachian Trail. And it's beautiful, isn't it? I thought that was just really a beautiful view from there. So this is the movie itself and the keeper. And hold on, let me make this a little bigger just in case you guys need to see it. But there we go. I guess I should have fooled around with that a little bit before I did. But oh well. We'll make it work right. Okay, so that's the keeper. That is the movie trail, the movie poster that was with the movie itself. It is free on YouTube. It's actually linked below in the description. One of their things that they said within the movie is no one walks the trail alone. And I don't know if I totally quoted that, totally right. But again, you can see it in the poster itself, that no one walks the trail alone. And that's certainly not something that George did. He didn't, he walked it majority by himself, but he had key people throughout the entire journey. So George Eshleman was a Army veteran. George dedicated to help raise awareness to the military members and those especially that left the battlefield and never stopped the war in their head. And so he was very inspired to do this. But understand that when he originally went on the trail, he had someone that had unalived themselves. And so he was going on the trail to do exactly the same thing. And it was people on the trail that, stopped him from doing that and made the impact for him to continue on this trail. But he had every intention of going on this trail and doing exactly the same thing. And thank God he didn't. But that was, the gist of it. He hiked the entire trail, nearly 2,200 miles of the Apache Trail, or I don't know why I say one Apache, Appalachian Trail. I'm going to call it AT, right? From Maine to Georgia. He carried 363 name tapes. So that was all of the names that you saw on that video. Those were all the name tapes that he carried from the uniforms of the military members that were given to him by their families. He went around, gathered all of these names and put them on the ring. You can see all the name tags or the name tapes on the ring, and they're heavy. They're not light. And he to this day still carries those around. And he carried those throughout the Appalachian Trail. And he continues to carry them today. He considers them family. And he goes everywhere. If he has an interview, if you all look up his name and see an interview, he has them right here. He said, "These are my family, and I will carry them for the rest of my existence." He did meet a gentleman and his son on the trail, and in the process gathered another name to carry because they had lost their mother in the same fashion, and she had served in the military. So when I was researching or doing something about this story, the director played, and he's Australian, he played George. And so George was given the nickname as a hiker called the Keeper. And the gentleman that you see wearing the backpack, that was the director. And the director was actually called Keeper 2. And he played George. And even though you can't tell in the movie that he did a wonderful job of keeping his Australian accent, because you couldn't tell he had one. But he played the entire, he played George throughout it. And George himself said, at one point I thought, what did I put this cast and crew through? Because there was bugs and there's all this, but there were some people that had served in the military. There were people that they met on the trail that served in the military that made, told stories and so forth, and made such an impactful thing. But he was planning to go on that trail and not ever come off. That was his intention, and it was stopped. So, one of the things that I watched, or that as I was kind of doing some research about this, one thing that was said was this movie, because we know that Hollywood tends to embellish movies, right? Was this movie kind of embellished a little bit? Was it added things to it? Did they embellish the story? And the answer is no, they didn't. They did not embellish the story. They tried very hard to make it as accurate as possible. They did not have a huge budget, but I can tell you that even though they didn't have a huge budget, I think it's a better movie than some of these Hollywood movies that have these big budgets. It was an amazing movie, and I just stumbled on this movie. And Josh said to me, I don't think I can watch this movie again. And I probably could, but he just said, we were both crying at the very end when he reached the end of this and he's on that mountain and so forth. It was just so impactful. So the next one is this. Okay. The director was Angus Benfield. The co-director was Kendall Bryant Jr. Hi, Alfonso. How are you doing, hon? With the screenplay by Todd. I should be able to pronounce that because it sounds like a Greek name, right? Telvazizi. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. And the story, of course, was by George. And for 3 weeks, the cast and crew filmed out on the Appalachia Trail in Georgia, Virginia, Tennessee, and Maine. Now, this next little part, in the description of this video, there's a website. That's good. I'm glad. In the description of this video, there's a website. You can go on there and check all about the film, as well as there is a section for you to put a loved one. It does not have to be someone that served in the military. I will be placing my grandfather's name, as you saw in that video. He was at the very end. I will be placing his name in memory of him. But you can go on there and place a family member. It does not have to be someone that's military. So that's in the description and the below. I did not reword this quote by the director because I just thought, I'm not going to reword this. This needs to be his words. So this was the director's words. As we filmed, we met many people along the trail who were veterans who had tears in their eyes as they shared with us their personal stories of pain they themselves have gone through. The story made them want to share their stories. And this is why we're on the Appalachia Trail and why we are here to tell Georgia's story and the story of 363 and the story of 22 every day. 22 means that every day at the statistics of when this movie came out, and this movie was just done last year, 22 are affected, and they thank you, Kristen. They actually unalive themselves a day. So we need to keep that in mind. And you'll see that they'll have 22 often throughout the movie, and that just symbolizes the amount. And the story of the story of the countless number connected in some way to all those who have lost their lives and those that are losing their battle of a war that they never seem to end. And that's from the director. That's a quote specifically from the director. That's also an actual picture of George. He has hiked this trail twice, and he's actually going back to hike it a third time. Kudos to him. That's all I can say. Kudos. So this is another picture of George. Over 144 days, George hiked through 2,189 miles of the Appalachia Trail from Maine to Georgia by himself, but he was never alone. I love that saying. I love it. This is a picture of, I guess, the entrance, from what I can understand and research, the entrance into the Appalachia Trail. More than 20,000 people have completed this trail. Now, I want people to think about this for a minute. How many people are on this earth, right? How many people are on this earth? And only 20,000 people have successfully completed this. That's a very small portion of actually the amount of people that have completed this trail in its existence. Now, even considering the trail 2,000 plus miles long, it can still come up to a surprise to know that the elevation gain and loss of hikers experience when they're walking the entire Appalachia Trail is the same as climbing Mount Everest from sea level and back a whopping 16 times. And I kept whopping in there because when I was born, my grandmother decided to put in the newspaper, in the Daytona newspaper, the birth of Mary, she was a whopping 9 pounds and 2 ounces. And I was like, "Jeez, thanks, Grandma." So I thought I kind of got a kick out of it when I saw a whopping 16 times. I was like, I'm going to keep that in there. But can we imagine that? It's like climbing Mount Everest. That's just amazing. But not only that, think of the amount of people again. There's millions and millions of people in this world, but only 20,000 have completed this entire trail. That's a lot to be said. This is another view from the mountain. So the states that the Appalachia Trail goes through is Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, Tennessee, hi Mrs. G, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Georgia. So that is the states that it goes through. So this is giving you a little history of this movie and a little history of George. And I want to say this. Hi, Jason P. Hi, brother. I wanted to say this about this. I wanted to say that the reason why, thank you, the reason why I felt so strongly to do this movie and talk about this movie with you guys is this. 22 people a day, veterans that have this battle going on in their head and going through their head, right? Choose that route. And it's so sad. We all, no matter whether you've served in the military or not, we all have battle scars. We all have battle wounds. We all have been through a battle, haven't we? Not one of us have not been through a battle. We all have been through a battle. We all have battle scars. Now, with these name tapes that George was carrying, if we remember that in the process of that I'd love to be able to say, well, you know what? We have this, and we have this, and I'd love to be able to take everybody's name and put them on that and say, I've got you all. But believe me, if I'm not doing it to show, I'm doing it every day, believe it or not, in life. I really am. You guys are carried with me every day. And there's a lot of people and everybody on this we consider family. So we all have battle scars we're going through. We all have things that we're struggling with. We all have difficulties no matter what it is that we're going through, right? And if we can remember, we've got to be here for each other. We got to carry those around no matter what and be here. You know, my grandfather, I never got the opportunity to meet because he decided that the battle in his head he couldn't deal with anymore. And I don't know if he realized the effect he had on so many lives. He affected my mother's life. He affected my uncle's life. Affected my life, and I never met him. This is a closer picture of George with those name tapes, so you can see him on that keychain. He affected my life. I thank goodness for my grandfather. I was very heavily bullied in school, extremely, for good chunky, for several years. And I don't know how many times those kids did not realize how close they brought me to that point. But it was because of my grandfather. I thought, I can't do this to my mom. She's already been through this once. I can't do it to my family. I was an only child. My uncle did not serve in the military, but he went through and said, did the whole visiting of everybody, and then he left this world. So we have to realize that if the person chooses to do that, that's not on us. Because oftentimes what happens is when that does happen, we say, oh, well, we saw the warning signs, but we didn't see them beforehand. But you guys in this channel, everybody that is subscribed, and as this channel is going to continue to grow, we're going to do the mission statement of this channel, right? You guys are on an imaginary thing with your names on them. And I carry you guys around and I say, man, I got my everybody's got my back. I've got their back. I'm here for them. You guys are important to me. And we all have the battle scars, but we all have to be here for each other to help each other through this thing we call life. It's why we have the focus to be on this channel as connection, straight out connection. So nobody feels like they're having to go through this thing we call life by themselves or without having a place to go to, having a place to turn to when they're really struggling. We can be here for each other no matter what we're going through. And I really thought about this movie when I was thinking about, I was watching it, and as I was watching it, I was like, I have got to do a show on this. This has to be a show. I want to highlight the fact that we need to stay connected to each other while we're here. I also want to make sure that we are highlighting Not highlighting, that's the wrong word. Sorry. Me to Tennessee. I want to honor. I want to honor those men and women that have served this country, that have given the ultimate sacrifice for this country, and their families. And I thought that has to happen. This was twofold. I wanted to show the emphasis of connection because here's the point. In this story, this man was going on the trail to do what? We know he was going there to get on the trail and leave. And even in a portion of it, his wife, even at one point when he could get to a phone, she said, I want to make sure you're okay because I had this really, really just horrible dream that you were not going to be here. She had some sense that he was going to do what he was planning to do, and connection to other people stopped him. And, he has a mission to carry these name tapes, to share this story, to get the word out, to make sure that people know the statistics. He has a mission to be able to do that. We have to have a mission here to say, this is what this channel is about. Let's crochet connection as we create a beautiful tapestry woven from threads of love and support. No crochet hook needed. Because we are all here dealing with battle scars. Every solitary one of us are dealing with battle scars. My grandfather, right? He was an alcoholic for years. And his son became an alcoholic. When it happened and he was in the home, my uncle left for 3 days. They didn't know where he was. And he never, I think, could even imagine what that was like to have all that erupt in this house. And then he was told by the judge, either you go ahead and you're going to jail because he got into some trouble, or you're going to go in the military. Well, he went and was a forward observer in the Vietnam War. He never left the battlefield. He came home. He never left the battlefield. And that is so sad that he never left it. He never left it. I'm sure he had PTSD at night. He watched MASH. He never talked about the war, but he watched MASH. I'm sure he woke up in cold sweats. So he used the alcohol, and I'm sure he did some drugs to avoid having to deal with it, to numb himself out. And my grandmother was aware enough that she knew that she could not trust her son when he was under the influence. And so when I would go over there and spend the night, she was always in the room. Well, my grandfather was a quadriplegic, so that meant she had to go back and forth and help my grandfather because he couldn't do this or what have you. But she knew that she couldn't trust her son. She was protecting me. And even though she tried very hard to protect me, there were still, trigger warning, sometimes where he inappropriately touched me because he was so under the influence. It stopped very quickly, but still it happened. The point of it is that man was battling life for years. He may not have done what his father did, but he was trying to. The last car accident he was in, if it hadn't been for I mean, you guys know the big like wagon kind of cars, the big, the ones where you put the kids in, and the big, huge kind of, heavy, heavy cars. Well, he had one of those. And if it wasn't for that heavy car, he probably wouldn't have been here. And thankfully, he didn't hurt anybody else. But we have to remember, we all have battle scars that we're dealing with. And we have to come together. We have to build those connections. They are so important. Our past is our past, right? We can't change what has happened in the past. That's why I tell you all are blessed disco balls. We're a bunch of broken pieces put together to make a magical ball of light. You're not broken, you're a disco ball. That's what George did. He was going on that trail to not be here anymore. But there were people on that trail that helped him through. At one point, there was one lady that said to him, if you're not going to hold those names with the regard that you should, I'm going to take over and I'll finish the race. There were people that came beside him and helped him through all of that. That's what we need to do. That's why we're here. We're not here to crochet. And I've debated back and forth, well, should we just change the name? But I am so determined to have people look past the name of a channel and see what they're doing. And now that we've started with this hashtag crochet connection, no, this name is sticking because we are going to crochet that connection. We are going to be here to help, just like George was going there and somebody shined a light and got him out and got him a purpose. And he put his story on, and this director found it and said, I've got to do it. And guys, if we can find movies like this that are not big Hollywood production movies, right? But man, do they have a more and powerful story than one that is made with all the bells and whistles. This was low budget movie. And I want everybody to go watch it if they can. I know some people can't. I understand. I encourage you to watch it. And throughout that movie, I want you all to see the power of connection. Because that's what I saw throughout that entire movie. I saw connection, connection, connection. Nobody walks this trail alone. Not one. Now, I'm going to take a moment right now, kind of at our halfway point, for people that are coming in that didn't get to see that little video at the very beginning. I'm going to play it one more time because we will just thank our members on the way out, and it's not an appropriate point to put that towards the end. So let's just have another moment and really take a look at all those names. They're all people that are no longer with us. They all were going through a battle. And they lost their battle. But we will never forget them. So let's just take another moment. There is taps being played in it. So if that's triggering to you, I understand. If you need to silence it for a few minutes, it's only about 2 minutes long, but I just feel that it needs to be played one more time. Thank you all. I thought we got to run it one more time. Like I said, that was my grandfather at the end. They may have been. I'm not sure, Sandy. That's a good question. I just screenshotted that off the movie. I thought I don't want to I don't want to mess up any of their names. They're too important. But we are all going through battles. Every day of our life, we're going through battles. But we're here. Well, that would be awesome one. Anybody that has a movie that inspired them will watch it. Do you realize what George was going to do? And yet connection was the thing that saved him? We can believe what we can believe. I know that there was a higher power. That's what I believe. But I also know that connection on that Appalachia Trail saved him. Connected with people that stood by him. His brothers and sisters stood by him. He carries this name tape with all of his 363, and he's probably added more on there. He went to each one of their homes and collected these names. He met the families. This is his family. They're not here. And my heart goes out to their family tremendously. You guys were family. And I know to a lot of people that sounds really weird, and you can't do this on YouTube, and there's a lot of drama happening. And it's not happening here. There's a lot of drama. I'm not going to feed we're not going to get into it. We have to continue to make this place a safe place. So if somebody is struggling with whatever battle they're facing that day, they have a place to come to. The essence of this movie is, of course, to remember those 363 men and women that lost the battle, and the 22 that lose the battle every day. And that's just those that have served in the military. That's not even everyone. My uncle lost his battle. My grandfather lost his battle. But the essence of that movie was, what if those people hadn't come beside George? What if we're not going to come beside someone else? I'm not saying that they're going to choose this route, but I'm going to say they're going to suffer in silence. They're going to have these tapes running in their head saying, guess what? Nobody wants to be my friend. And those tapes should not and do not need to exist. They don't. I saw that, yes, in that movie, we need to honor these men and women. 100%. Without a doubt. It's why that got played more than once. And for those that don't know, the little thing on in there on the very top was actually taps that was played at my dad's service. I looked at different taps, and some of them said copyrighted, and I thought, well, I wonder if I could. We had recorded my dad's service, and I thought, that's it. I'll take that one and I'll run it through it to make sure it's not going to be, and it wasn't. So that was from my dad's service, which I thought was very fitting. But I want people to understand the power of what connection does. We need it in our communities, but there's sometimes with whatever we're going through in life, you're home with a child that has special needs, you're have disabilities, whatever that may be, right? And you can't really get involved in your community as much as you would like. Then guess what? This becomes a community. This becomes a family. Because I'd love to be able to put every solitary one of our names that we have. Guys, I think we're only probably about 22 subscribers away from 1,500, all on a ring. And I can't do that, partly because I can't always see who does and who subscribes. But the thing is that we have to remember the importance of connection. It is so important. It is tremendously important. We're not going to stop connecting here. It's not happening. We can't. Right? We have to be able to have that connection, have this safe place. Because everybody, I knew eventually, Jason, I'd figure out which code it was. I'm going to get my mods those codes so they can drop them. By the way, that's Crafty Witch. That's Jason's other half's wonderful page. So if you haven't subscribed, go over there and subscribe. And any of the ones we put in the chat, they're great channels, guys. We're just not, just as a side note, if people are coming in, we're not dropping links right away. We're making sure that people are connecting within the chat and doing that before we're dropping links. Anybody that we're dropping links to is people that my mods are allowed to drop their links whenever they want. They're here and I'm grateful, and they support the channel and I'm totally grateful for them. So we have got to have, we've got to have a place. What battle are you going through today? Right? Are you losing somebody that's close to you? Are you struggling with maybe some financial things? Are you going through a divorce? Are you raising a special needs child? Are you changing jobs? Are you moving? What is it that you're going through as a battle for today? Do we realize we battle every day? Every day I wake up, there's a battle going on. And my body says, you're either doing this or not. I battle with my body every day. Nancy Smith says it's financial. You know, sometimes when we put words, when we name it, and of course, we don't ever, if we say what the battle is, we don't have to sit there and say, well, this is exactly what it is, right? But sometimes saying it, listen, hey, I'm going through a financial battle right now. Juan says I'm going through an emotional battle. Sometimes when we say it, right? When we put a name to it, when we tell people this is what we're going through, then guess what happens? There's a sense of I'm being heard, I'm being listened to. I'm struggling with this. I'm going through this. I'm not alone. Right? I can say to one, I'm going through an emotional struggle with what's going on with my aunt. And financially, yeah. I mean, I live on a fixed income. It's the truth. But, you know, when we put a name to it, when we say to people, listen, this is what I'm going through, guess what? We're no longer invisible. And how are you taking that battle? And what are you using something to numb it? Are you using food? Are you using alcohol? Are you using drugs? Are you going out and buying things that you can't afford because it helps you feel good for a moment? How are you taking that battle and putting something in? And Nancy said emotional too. What are you doing for yourself? Right? That sits there and say, okay, I'm going through this, but I'm going to use this to cover up this. I do it with food. I have to really watch myself. If I am struggling with something, I better not find myself in the aisle of the grocery store with the mint chocolate chip ice cream because it's going to come home with me. I could bet it. Now, being sick, I did come home. We went to the store the other day and I got some sherbet because it felt good on my throat. But I did not. And I looked at the mint chip chocolate ice cream. No, you're not getting this, girl. You can have the sherbet right now because of what's going on. We can't have this. Because I knew that it'd be very easy at times to sit there and go into it too often. Right? I'm not going to do it. I better not buy Swiss cake rolls because they're going to be gone in a couple days. What are you feeding in the mix of a battle? Are you getting connected? Jason says here, I self-medicated with alcohol for years. Harm reduction, way down. I'm way down as of last year or so. Well, that's anybody facing a battle that's even made it through today. Here you go. Here's Floppy. We haven't put out Floppy for a while, right? Here's Floppy. Right? We're going to put out Floppy for anybody that has had a battle that they're working on. Guess what? You don't have to win it today in order for this trophy to be raised. You have to attempt to win it, and it may take a while. I will fight the battle for the rest of my life when it comes to food. I will fight it for the rest of my life. I'm never going to fully win it, but when I was bullied in school, heavily for 3 years, I figured out if I can't exit, I got to figure out some way to kill the pain. Because not only was I going through being bullied in school, I was also being verbally abused by my dad. And I loved him. He was a wonderful man. But when he got angry, it was really hard. And it was my grandfather that kept me from doing anything. It was my uncle because I thought, I can't do this. And maybe if I had sisters and brothers, I could have said, well, at least they're here. And I had a friend who tried, and that all was impactful to me. And I'm really glad that I'm here. And I'm here for a purpose. I do believe in my heart of hearts, guys, that I'm here and that I hit that big red button because I want to make sure that nobody suffers in silence. Am I perfect? Far from it. Do I have the fanciest studio? Far from it. But I want you all in here connected. If people ever give, any kind of support via membership, super chats, and all that kind of stuff, guess what? It is never expected. It's appreciated. I know what's going to Mama. I know it helps her a little bit, and I'm thankful. Right? But you guys are what matters. You guys are important to this girl. You're not just a name on a screen. You're important. You've got, and I've said, Scott still says to me, my number one fan. Right? And I want you to know you have a number one fan in me. And I'm not just saying that for lip service. None of this is lip service. It's the truth. I have spent too long of my life. I have a wonderful family. But I have spent way too long of my life trying to, being kind of isolated, not having many friends, having that stupid tape running through my head going, nobody wants to be this girl's friend. And guess what? Last year it started breaking. And it's in the garbage and it's done. I don't ever have that running through my head anymore. And I don't want anybody here to have it running through their head either. And substance abuse runs in my family too. 100%. It runs through my family. And I'm thankful that I didn't go down that road when it came to myself. I could have very easily gone down that road, and I didn't, and I'm very, very thankful that I didn't. Sorry, guys, my nose itches. I'm very glad that I didn't. I'm glad I didn't go down that road. I have never had the desire to do any of that, and I'm very, very thankful that I didn't. Because it could have been. My mother, thankfully, she was raised by an alcoholic father, but she didn't go down that road. My uncle did. But this movie, I absolutely 100% connected with this movie and George in such a powerful way. Because I thought, this movie is here. Those we gotta make awareness to all those names on those that he carried throughout that Appalachia Trail. Finally getting that name right? But it also was a movie about connection and the importance of connection and the importance of being there for each other when we're going through whatever battle we're going through. We say nobody suffers in silence, and the tagline on the keeper, and I know it's smaller, but on the keeper says, no one does this trail alone. Nobody has to do it alone. Right? It doesn't need to be done alone. You're not alone. You're not just a name on a screen when you come in here. You're people that over well, since we started this channel in January, but even before that, some of you, I've known you almost for 2 years. You've become family. Some of you have become sisters and brothers. I don't have any sisters and brothers, and I don't think my mom's going to try at her age, but I'm thankful now that I have them. I'm so thankful that I have people that I can call, and people that I can trust, and people that I call friends. And, you know, through this whole thing and through different channels, right? Without those, we would not have met each other. And I think, thank goodness we did. Thank goodness I realized that this can be more than just a place to watch videos. It's a place to connect. It's a place to heal. It's a place to say, hey, I'm going through a battle. I'm struggling today. Because I know what it's like to not have that. I just keep going back to the day when I looked at my dad and he says, hello, it's nice to meet you. And I said, he's lost it. And I said, Dad, I'm your daughter. And he said to me, oh. And I said, it's okay. And I had to not cry. I had to just kind of stuff it in. And as I walked, not very far, we lived next door to each other at that point. When I walked home, I could fall apart. And I prayed that prayer. I said, let him forget my name first, because I knew my daughter couldn't handle it. But boy, what I needed is someplace like this to say, boy, did I have a huge battle today. My dad forgot my name. That's huge. He's known me for X amount of years, and he doesn't remember me. He didn't remember my name after that. I didn't hear it very often. He got my mom's all the way. You know, he had my mom's, but mine, no. And that's okay. There's a lot of times he looked at me and didn't know who I was. And yeah, I could go home and I fell in the arms of Josh, but he was in the situation. He was in there. He was in the mix of it. I don't know about you, but I spent a lot of time crying in the shower because you couldn't hear me and you couldn't see it. Because when I went over to see my dad next door, I couldn't show him that. This movie would have never been brought to light. George was a disco ball. Somebody came beside all of his broken pieces and shined light on it. And through that, he finished the trail. He finished his race. Not once, not twice, but he's going back a third time to do this trail again. And through that, this movie came out. Do we realize how many people this movie could very well save? If it impacted me, and maybe it'll impact you to watch it and see it. And when you watch it, I want you to really focus on the fact of all the different connections that he made throughout this movie. Just, go look at them. They were connection points all through that guided him through the entire thing. He truly, even though he walked it alone, he did not walk it alone. Because the entire time, he was carrying those name tags. He was carrying his family with him. And I know now, I know right now, and for those, I'm going to say this, a little bit divided right now. But you all here on this channel, we're all family. This is a safe place to come. And you all are carried around, I know, by me, right? He carried those. They're not light. They're not just a piece of paper. They're part of clothing. They have weight to them. And every interview I have seen George do, he has them with him. And he sits there and says, I will carry these with me till I take my last breath. This is my family. And I have their back. We all have each other's back. We all are going through battles. And we all need each other to sit there and say, nobody's going to walk this trail alone. Nobody's going to suffer in silence. You mean something. You are something. And we love you. And I know this chat's quiet tonight, and that's okay, because I know that a lot of people are sitting in the background really thinking about what I'm having to say. And hopefully they're taking it. Hopefully, like in the description, you'll see there's a place you go watch this movie free on YouTube. If you are triggered by any of what I'm talking about and you can't handle watching the movie, go at least watch a little bit of George. There's several places that if you type in his name, you'll see interviews. Go watch him on YouTube. He does several different interviews. The director does several different interviews. And they said that they absolutely just became a family. The people, the cast, the crew, and everything came a family on this trail. You know, they just became a family. And you know, it was such a well done movie. It honestly. And the one thing that I was looking for in a lot of the interviews when I was watching was, and one person did ask it, how much of this movie was doctored? And they said, we tried to keep it very much to George's story, which I thought was awesome. I thought that was amazing. I was like, thank you that they didn't doctor a bunch of stuff. They said the filming was awful challenging at times, right? Because of the trail itself. And, you know, we were watching a movie. I can't remember what it was called. We were watching a movie prior to this one, and it was a funny movie about the Appalachia Trail. And then this one came on. And I could just say, as I was watching this whole thing, I'm like, I have got to do a live stream on this. And the whole thing I saw through the entire movie was connection. I'm not saying that if I'm sure that these military people that he carries around had those connections and had the services. But one thing that I think one of the people or the co-director said is, we're taught in the military, right? Nothing's wrong. Have that face on. Everything. We can handle the battle, right? And they said what happens is he said, I learned that I haven't been doing this battle very well. And he was in his 50s. And he said, through this movie, I've gone and seeked help because I struggle with PTSD and I struggle with issues and so forth. And he said, I had to kind of, you know, I had to realize that these years that I've been going through this, he said, I've just been stuffing it down and not dealing with it and doing it poorly. And he said, I had to realize I needed to go seek help. And I think sometimes we don't realize that we do need to go seek help. If you're struggling with anything, I mean, Josh is he's 47, 48 years old, and it's taken him this long to start dealing with his PTSD and his emotional issues and his emotional baggage from his childhood. And I went and dealt with some of it, and I'm still dealing with some of it. Pushing it down doesn't solve anything. And we can't even begin to imagine. I don't even begin to imagine what was going through my uncle's head. I really don't. But I know he was going through a battle. He was literally going through a battle in his head. And he was doing it on a daily basis. And he had to use drugs and alcohol to numb it because he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to have to do that battle. Right? He didn't want to be able to have to do it. And we're going to put some ones in the chat for anybody going through a battle again. Good vibes, prayers, whatever you do. We have to realize the importance of being there for each other. Being here for each other, supporting each other, whatever it is. However it's called, whatever it is, we can do it, but we can do it together. We can do it so much better together than we can apart. And I hope that this movie was something that was impactful to you and something that hopefully maybe will resonate to you. But I really want you to focus when you go in there and you watch this, focusing on, of course, the men and women that were honored in this movie. We need to focus on them. We need to focus on the message of this movie, which is preventing people unaliving themselves. That's the message, bringing awareness to that. 100%. But throughout this movie, I want you to pay attention to the connection. Because the connection helped George not do what he intended on that trail. Connection helped him finish the trail. And we're all here. And if we really think about it for a moment, if we think about the amount of time, okay, I think it took him like 5 or 6 months to complete this whole thing, or 144 days, which I can't put mouth-wise or month-wise right now. 2,180 miles. If we realize that we're on a trail in this life, right? We can either choose it to do it solo, or we can choose it to do it with people standing beside us. It's a heck of a lot easier if we're beside somebody, isn't it? Than if we're not. 144 days. 2,189 miles he walked. Are you walking beside your brother or sister today? Are you making sure that people, whether they're here, that you found them and they're friends on YouTube, or whether you found them in your community, whatever, are you calling them up and saying, how you doing today? Are you struggling? How can I help? When we're going through whatever it is, we can either choose to tell them how they need to deal with it or hold an umbrella over them as they're going through the storm that's coming down, right? And get under that umbrella and say, I've got the umbrella. I'm going to protect you from the storm for a while, and I'm here. Not be a weather guide, but find out how they need for you to help them through whatever they're going through. We all have battles, every one of us. We all have battle scars. Sometimes you can't see them, but we all have them. And again, my heart goes out to these families that lost their loved ones. My heart goes out to anyone that has lost a loved one in this manner, in any manner. But we have got to remember that whatever battle we're facing in life, here, nobody's going to walk alone. Nobody's going to get through it alone. Nobody needs to suffer in silence. We're going to do exactly what we're going to continue with. We're going to make this beautiful tapestry. It's going to be miles and miles long. But we're going to do it in love and support. And it's going to be a lot of wonderful and beautiful colors. Right? Because we have to realize everybody is going through a battle. And it's another discussion, right? What battle are you going through today? How can we help you? And this may be something, and I thank you, everyone, for showing on up today. This was a really important stream. That's why yesterday, with some things that were going on, it wasn't the appropriate time to do this, and I wanted to be ready. I wanted to make sure that I was on my game. Hopefully I was. But maybe that's something that we should be asking. What battle are you going through today? And how can we be here to help you? Maybe it's just being here. Maybe it's listening. Maybe it's advice. Maybe it's just some ones thrown in the chat. How can we be here to help you? We should not be asking when somebody's going through a battle, well, I think you should do this or do this. No. It's their battle. What can we do? What do you need us to do? And let me just say this. For anybody that has lost a loved one by their own hands, I've lost two. I've had a mother who lost her father this way, as you saw in that video at the very end. It's so hard not to beat yourself up because you didn't see the warning signs or anything, and blaming yourself. I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have done this. I should have done that. There is nothing that you could have done. Hi, Hedge. There is nothing that you could have done to stop if they had made that, if they were going to make that choice, and they did make that choice. There's nothing that you could have done to stop them. My uncle could have rushed into the room, or if, what have you. My uncle couldn't do anything to stop what his father did. My mother wasn't there in the home when it happened. My own grandfather's mother couldn't do anything. So if you have lost, someone in this manner, don't beat yourself up. It was very hard for my mom. She was in her 30s. She was a young lady. She was about 18, 19 when this happened. She wasn't until her 30s where she started unpacking an alcoholic father and all the trauma that came with that. And we sometimes, when this happens, it's very hard because to not blame ourselves, because we should have seen the signs. We should have seen it. And a lot of times it happens after the fact. But if you're here somebody that is struggling, do not suffer in silence. And let me also say this. Leaving this world only created more problems. With my uncle and my mom, it didn't solve any. And I hope one day to meet my grandfather. Because I don't know. I know he served in the military. That's where my grandmother and him met. So I know that he probably had battle wounds. And back then, of course, all of that, mental illness and all that kind of stuff, that wasn't brought to the surface like it is now. And I don't know what was going through his head. But we've got to bring light to this, guys. We have this movie needs to bring light. We have to bring light to this. We have to bring light to the issue. We have to bring light to the fact that nobody needs to walk this trail alone. And if people don't think that it can happen on YouTube, it can. Friendships can be made and done. Just we need to make, we have to realize that with YouTube, it can sometimes be a double-edged, thing. But there's some good in YouTube. We're going to have people, as this channel grows, we're going to have people that are going to be trolls. I got my mods. I ain't worried. But there's a lot of good. There's a lot of good channels out there. And there's a lot of really good people. So whatever you're battling today, just like George battled on that trail, I'm sure he did the entire way. Right? He finished. At the very end, he finished this. He got to that end point, and he carried his family through it. Now, I don't know if this was the edge, but I think that this, that picture I have, and that's from the Appalachia Trail. There's a picture in the movie where he's at like a cliff or a mountain, and that could have been it or something. I don't know. But you know what? We're all connected, guys. Every solitary one of us. He made it through. But he didn't make it alone, even though he was alone. He didn't make it alone. And none of us need to. No matter what trail you're on in life, you are not on this trail by yourself. And we are close, 22 away from 1,500. Can't believe it. But realize that every subscriber that is on, I carry you guys around. Your family. You're good for my mental well-being. You're good for my health. You're good for my fibromyalgia. And I am beyond grateful to this channel and to the supporters. And we will continue going forward with what the mission statement has to say. And you're loved. And we're here, whatever battle you're going through. And it doesn't have to be a major battle. It could be a real simple battle, right? Doesn't have to be a major thing. It could be a real simple one. But maybe that's something simple that you're going through that's just really tough. Maybe it's something going on at work that you're having to do that you don't like to do. It could be simple. Doesn't have to be major. Sometimes the simplest battles are the hardest to get through. Right? But we're going to get through it together. And we're going to finish on that trail. And guess what? Probably by the time we're done, right, this trail is going to be a heck of a lot longer than what the Appalachia Trail did. But you are not on this thing we call life, this trail that we're on, right? And if you think about it, just for a moment, remember that George he was given this name on the trail, the keeper of the names, right? He was given the keeper on the trail. Think of your YouTube name as your trail name. Guess what? Blessed to Crochet is our trail name. And I stand behind that proud, and I'm not changing it for nothing. Because that's my trail name. That's how you know us. I've thought about it, guys, over the past couple weeks. I thought maybe we should. Because maybe that crochet part in it just throws people. They're expecting crochet and they come here and we don't do any crochet. And after watching that movie, I thought, no, that's our trail name. That's what we're known as. Blessed to Crochet. What are you blessed to do? And then, thanks to Lewis Sacred Karma, who came up with the idea of the crocheting that connection, I thought, no, it's sealed down. We're not going anywhere with it. And hopefully people that are coming in will take one look at this channel and realize that, you know what, we're a little bit more than what the name is, right? We're just a little bit more. You know, we're not a crochet channel. We're a connection channel. And I hope that'll encourage people. We're on this trail together, guys. Think of your YouTube name as your trail name, because it's the way I'm going to start thinking about it. And, you know, you're not just a name that pops up on a screen. You know, we have the ability for all those, the super chats and all that. And if they come, they come. They don't, it's okay. I'm happy to just see people in the chat. I'm thankful for them. Thankful for each and every one of you. And y'all aren't just names. You're people that we love and we care about and we pray for. And so guess what? I think we have to remember that we're all keepers. We all are keepers of each other to make sure that we realize that we're not walking this trail by ourselves. That somebody always has somebody to go to, whatever battle they're going through. And again, thank you to the men and women that have served this country, that are serving, have served, and have paid the ultimate sacrifice. This stream is dedicated to you and your family. Thank you. We're forever in your debt, and that's what this stream is dedicated to. And I really encourage you, if you can, to go watch that movie. But pay attention to the underlying theme in that movie and its connection. The first has to be the awareness of mental health and all that. And of course, all the names that he carried throughout that trail. But underlining part of it focusing on connection. Absolutely. So like I said, we always do it. It's not to, if you can support the channel, wonderful. Realize that there's other ways if you can support the channel by running our playlist. Go and run some shows you haven't seen before. Make comments on them. Share them. Those are all ways that you can help support us. Share our page out, our YouTube channel out. Those are all ways that you can support us. But we do have some amazing members, and we are grateful for them. And we are thankful for the extra support. It is never expected. It is appreciated. And we just want to take an opportunity to thank them. And this has been a little bit of a heavy stream. And so we're just taking a moment and we're just going to do a little lightening up for a moment, right? So here we go for a second. And Jason, here's some disco balls for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Why don't we do that just for after this stream? Let's just do it one more time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
One more time, right? I think one thing I'm going to do is, because now it's Valentine's Day, I just realized that the emojis came up. And I think I'm going to try to find some way of doing some kind of trail emoji, right? And we'll exchange that. St. Patrick's Day this month. So I could do a St. Patrick's Day emoji. And then I could do a St. Patrick's Day emoji. And then I can do St. Patrick's Day emoji, and I'm going to try to find a way to do like a hiking one. And I think that's important from the stream that we just did. And again, it's never expected for any of that. If you're able to support, if you're able to go through and watch any of our content that you haven't seen yet, and you can let those, I know they're pesky, but the ads, just letting them run through actually help us. And so if you're able to just let those ads run, that would help too as well. We appreciate that. Because we want to just continue to grow. We want to do some things with you all and take this channel places and do things and so forth. And so we just want you all a part of it. We all want you a part of the trail, right? Sandy Wendy, there you go. There's your trail name, right? Jason Pete, there's your trail name. That was really interesting that they give everybody a trail name. I didn't know that before. Something to think about, right? And maybe it's something to think about. Maybe come up with your own. I think my trail name would probably be Blessed. I'm sure in heck blessed. Right? Maybe come up with your own. I think that's a great idea. They did it with him. They called him the Keeper. So I know Jason probably call him a disco ball. So maybe sit there and say something as far as maybe if you want, come up with your own trail name. That was great. And say, I'm this. Y'all are rock stars. Y'all can do anything, but we can do it a heck of a lot better together. And when this is done, and if you go watch that movie, put in the comments what you thought about it. In the description below of the movie, go down or go in the description, you'll see the website that will take you to the keeper. And again, hi Gen X, it'll take you to there, and you can actually go and let me think about it in a second. You can actually go and like put people's names on the wall of this page. So let me go. I can go in real quick, and then I'll drop it. And you can go in there and actually like drop their name if you have somebody and they say it did not need to be military. Why didn't that come up the way I wanted it to? Hold on a second. Never comes up the way you want it to, right? But they said you could go put in like people on their like memorial wall. And I'll put it in here. I thought that was really cool. And it was in the movie theaters. And we were going through movies, and I thought, oh my, I didn't even notice it. But it was in the movie theater at one point. Understand why that won't open. Well, for some reason it will not open. I do not understand why. But I thought I did not see it in the movie theater, but let's see. I was glad. There we go. Didn't want it to pull up the way I wanted it to. All right, I'm going to put it in the chat, and this is the website I found, and they do have a section in there, and it does not have to be, if you wanted to put them, they have like a wall that you could put names on. It does not have to be anybody that served in the, they don't have to have served in the military or anything. You can put them on this wall as somebody that to be remembered. So I thought that was really special. I will be putting my grandfather. Because again, he didn't, he served in the military, but, he chose to unalive himself. And, if I can encourage you to do anything, if you have social media, take this and spread this live on your social media. If you have a channel, spread this live on your community posts. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I want people to see this movie. I want them to go see it. I think it's important. It's an important topic. It's an important discussion. And these individuals that he carried on there, I want you to I want us to end with this. I just want us to end with realizing we all are carrying each other. You guys, as this channel grows, that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. You all are on there. You all are family. And George, no matter where he goes, he carries us every place he goes. These are not just names to him. He's met their family. He knows some of them. He's got them. He's got their back. He's going to carry those names all the way until he takes his last breath. We got to have each other's back. We've got to carry each other. We got to be there through each other's lives and whatever you are battling. And this is a safe place to do it. I promise you, it is one of the things that I hold very dear, that I want this to always be a safe place for you guys to come. Always. And No matter what is going on in your life, what is going on in the YouTube world, this place I will always want to be that refuge, that lighthouse for you all to come and say, this is a safe place. This is a place I know I can come in. I know I can talk. I know I can have support. I know I can take my phone and put it down and hear Mary's voice or hear Mary and her mom's voice, right? I know that I'm not by myself. That's what we're here for. Every solitary one of us. Is so that nobody has to do this world and walk this trail alone. Nobody has to do it. We're not going to do it, are we? And so I hope that this was impactful. I really did feel, I almost thought, because we had Christina over, I thought rescheduling, I thought, no, this live needed to happen tonight. And I appreciate everybody showing up for it. Those that came in, I tremendously appreciate it. Now, I will be on April the 6th. I will be on, I'll put him in here, big story time, Big Jack story time. I will be on his on April the 6th. So I probably will be sharing that on our channel too as well. We'll be co-streaming. So I will be on his channel on April the 6th. And I'm going to start doing, we're going to start doing more topics and more lives for sure. Absolutely. I think it's important. I'm going to start doing more topics now that I kind of feel better. Thank goodness. Because I don't want to, I'm getting better, but I have some topics in mind, and we're going to start doing some more lives and getting them scheduled out. So I'd love to be able to say I could do, I could plan that I could do a live, absolutely one. I wish I could say, okay, well, we can do a live Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday at 8 o'clock. But with my fibromyalgia, I can't do that. Can't happen. So if I put topics up, I will do my best. My promise to you is only my best. I will do my best to hold on to those times. But if for some reason I have to push it back a day, I know you all will understand, and I will make sure you know it in the community tab. But I'm going to start coming up with some ideas. And I think this whole thing of finding inspirational stories, finding inspirational movies, I've got another movie we're going to do next is about the woman, and they did a movie on it. Josh and I watched it. It was an amazing movie about the first lady who was the first one to swim the English Channel. We're going to talk about her. We're going to do about Temple, who was autistic. That was a movie I've watched several times. I want to talk about that. It's very close to my heart. So those are at least 3. Check for those that are blind. I can look, Alfonso, to see if I can get a DVD. I will look. I know it's on YouTube. I don't know if putting it through your software or something you have to do YouTube. And Alfonso, I wanted to say, I will email you. I know I wasn't on your stream last night, and I was in the chat very quietly watching, but there was a lot going on yesterday. And so I will email you, my friend. I try to be in your streams and be there for you as much as I can on Saturday. There was just a lot going on yesterday, and I just couldn't be in there. But I was watching and I was listening and I was quiet. But I'll email you. So I wanted you to know that. We're going to start putting and loading up streams in the thing, and then getting them all put in and topics and all that kind of stuff, because I need to get back, and I'm gonna try to get off here and record the devotions for the past 2 days, and at least get them both up. But I know I need to start getting those recorded, and but I really feel like at least if I put them up, there's a good chance I'll do them. And if for some reason my body says, no, you can't, because the fibromyalgia is just not going to allow me to do it, I know you all will be loving and nothing but understanding. And I means so much to me. And so we're going to come up with topics. I think I would prefer doing these, really, the movie ones. I prefer doing them on Saturday about 8 o'clock. When I was originally going to do the other one about 8 o'clock, and then leading you over to Alfonso's. I think that would be great. So we may do those, and maybe do them maybe every couple of weeks. Try to find an inspirational story, that we can learn from, and that somebody battled through something. I mean, George battled. He battled on the battlefield, and then he battled through this Appalachia Trail. He battled, but he came out. Right? And he learned so much through that entire time. And so we can do this. And so we'll start putting up topics. If you guys have inspirational stories of people or movies, then send them over to us and we'll look at them. Another thing right before I get off is, if you are a channel and you would like to have a shout out done, we have a specific email now. I know I haven't done shout outs for a little bit, but past couple of days. But if you want to shout out, that is our email. Just go ahead and put shout out, and then put your channel, put a link to a video for us to go over in your channel and so forth, and request a shout out, and we will take a look at it. I can't guarantee you we're going to do a shout out for you, but we will certainly, if we can, we will. And we are in the process too of taking all of our descriptions and sizing them down so that they're a lot easier for you guys to go through and understand and so forth. But there's over 950 videos. I worked on some of them last night, but they're overwhelming. And I think I may even, have Mom look at it and see if she thinks we need to word things better, because she's really good at that. But just give us time to kind of go through them all and, get them all a little bit more polished. That's what we're trying to do. But again, there's about 950 of them to have to go through. And I think I went through 50 last night. And I thought I just touched the surface on this, all the shorts and all lives. We're just wanting to make them a lot more condensed and much easier for all the descriptions and so forth to be a lot easier for you all to read. And Josh is in the process of, he has to add a Bluetooth to this computer that we picked up this minute. Thank you, Lord, for this. I would have been out about 5 times in the stream. And not been able to do all these pictures and all this kind of stuff like I was able to do tonight without a problem. But he has to put a Bluetooth thing in this computer, and then I'm getting rid of this and going to earbuds or whatever it is. They're on our link tree, but ear things for my ears so that I don't have the cord. So you'll eventually see this gone too as well. But again, I think the best way is this. I think Juan ended it perfectly. We all get through our battles together. That is what we're doing. That is what we're going to continue to do. And We're all going to do this thing. And, again, we're going to keep the drama this way. And just be here to support each other. That's what we're going to do. And I will check on that Alfonso for you. Thank you for joining me tonight. I know this was a somewhat heavy topic, but at the end of this story, right? George won that battle. He still battles every day, but he won a portion of that battle because he came out at the end of the Appalachia Trail the first time alive, right? And he came and he didn't do the trail alone. He's gone back and hiked it again. He's going back and hiking it again. Let's do this trail thing. Let's do this life thing together. Let's hike together because nobody needs to suffer in silence, right? Thank you all for joining me tonight. Remember, be proud of being yourself because everyone else is taken. Remember, we got you covered. Thanks for having us covered. And let's keep crocheting that connection. No crochet hook required. We love you all. You all are sitting there. We're going to end with this picture, right? We got you all. All are on that thing with all the tags all around with all your names. You are not just names, you're people, your family. Right? And like George said, these are my family. You all are our family. And this girl, I'm your number one fan. And I love each and every one of you. Thank you all for being the blessing behind Blessed to Crochet. George, thank you for this very inspirational story. And I'm really glad. I've never met you. Maybe one of these days I'll get the honor of meeting you. But guess what? Thank you for taking those names so that those soldiers would never be forgotten. Thank you for taking them on that trail. Thank you for finishing the trail. Thank you that you're still here. Because your story, my friend, is going to impact so many people. Certainly impacted this girl. And if you're listening to this, George, I don't have a name tag of my grandfather's uniform. But if you want to add Stephen James Georgopoulos to that, it'd be a great honor. Because even though he's not on your name tag, I know that if you go on that trail again, he's on there. And to my grandfather that I never met, I love you. And I hope one day I have the opportunity to meet you. Thank you. I don't know what I would have called him. I've always called him grandfather because I never knew him. Thank you for your service. And from your granddaughter, I love you. I love each and every one of you. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.
So